Now what we've just done is relocate this aquarium. Now the things that, so when we went about relocating it, we drained the water out, and then we got some fresh RO water and added that to the tank. We left all the plants in position, just threw a towel over the top, and it moved very well because the roots are so established. These sorts of carpeting plants at the bottom are almost impossible to get established unless you start with a dry tank, which you need to be very patient to actually do that. And then now that we've temporarily got a filter running on it, this is not to stay there because there'll be a filter in there. And we're going to make sure that the outlet of the filter is agitating the surface, because it's really important that the surface is not dead flat. Otherwise, we're not going to get gas exchange. Now, at the moment, the plants are a little bit pale, and that's because there hasn't been fish in this tank for a while, because we've known that we're going to move it. So having some fish in there to produce some nitrogen and fertilize is actually quite important. Now, there's a few products here that we're going to use. We're going to use Water Adria if we ever use tap water, or if we find ammonia or nitrite in the water, that'll help to detoxify it. Here's just some good bacteria that'll help to clear the water. We've got some Brighty K, which will put a number of pumps in per day. So we've got some iron, and we will put a number of pumps in per week according to how green the plants are. We've got a little cherry shrimp, cherry shrimp there, who's stowed away in the tank. And then we've got some Brighty minerals. So we're going to have a number of pumps and a little register for when they need to go in. Now it's going to have a CO2 system on it. The CO2 bottle is currently being refilled. Now what we're going to look for with this aquarium, now going to make sure the surface agitation is always done, going to make sure the filter is only cleaned in tank water, not tap water. Then we're going to be watching our pH level. We want to keep that generally around 7. If we use too much CO2, we'll find the pH will go down. If we don't use enough CO2, we'll find this black algae crap growing all over the leaves. So that'll be a little guide for us on establishing the amount of CO2. Generally, on the bubble counter, 1 drop per second is usually sort of right. You can slowly turn it up or down using that particular knob as we need to. Then when you establish the bottle, we're going to put the bottle on, and that just goes onto this fitting right here. And then we're going to have this closed. Then we're just going to slowly open that up. Then we're going to use that one for our fine tuning. So when we put the bottle on, we want that closed, and we want that closed. Then we can plug the solenoid in, and the solenoid is going to be on a timer, which is on with the lights, because we do not want CO2 going into the aquarium at nighttime, because the plants will produce CO2 at night. We want to have the CO2 going in the aquarium during the daytime when the lights are on. So once that's shut, that's on, and that's shut, we then open this one up. We then slowly open that one up until we see a 1 bubble per second go through here. The CO2 is going to come out through the diffuser over there. And then over time, as in over weeks, if we see black algae growing on the leaves, we're going to increase the amount of CO2 by just slowly upping that. And then if we did see our pH dropping, then we're going to decrease the amount of CO2, because that means we might have too much CO2 going in. Now we must run a KH level when we're running the CO2. So we're just going to keep an eye on KH, but at the same time, with this particular substrate, it's not usually a big issue. We're just going to have to keep an eye on that. Now the waste produced by the fish is ammonium nitrite. Now the ammonium nitrite is unlikely to ever be a problem in this tank unless you overstock it, because it's got a big filter on it. It's got heaps of plants for sucking all the nutrients out. So we don't want to overfeed the fish. We want to feed the fish about 5 times a week what they eat in 30 seconds. So we put some fish food in there. Quality of fish food is everything. Fish keeping is 50% water quality and 50% fish food. So the nutrients you choose is a huge decision. Now, this aquarium's got a heater in it. So the light will turn on when the temperature is below 27 degrees. And I'm going to put a thermometer in there just to make sure that the temperature is correct. Then we're going to add a little school of cardinal tetras. And then we're going to wait a couple of weeks. Then we'll take a sample of water. I'll check out the video. And then you can add some more fish. Maybe like some pygmy cories or something would be cool. There's all sorts of different fish that we can get in there. We're going to run the light a maximum of 8 hours a day. If we're getting any algae issues, we might decrease the amount of light because it's possible this house is going to get a bit of light, but we'll certainly wing that. If you see the leaves going yellow, then we're going to increase the amount of fertilizer that we're going to put in the tank and make sure we've got a good stock of fish to feed them. And ultimately, plants should be growing. And if they're not growing, they're dying. And they only really die for two reasons. They die because they've got too much of something or not enough of something. So either they die because they got too much light, or die because they don't have enough light, or too much water flow, not enough water flow, too much nutrients, not enough nutrients, too much fertilizer, not enough fertilizer. That's sort of how it all works. So it's just a matter of understanding your aquarium and then also being realistic with your expectations. So you set this tank up, it looks really cool. For 1 year you love it, 1 year you like it, and then you've seen it. So one of the best things to do is just do a rescape. So at the moment, you can't really see many of the rocks, but this has got some beautiful rock work in this tank. So let's say in a month or two, maybe cut some of the plants back, change the way there's sculpture of the tank, do a bit of hairdressing, reveal some of those rocks, and maybe over time introduce a different little species of plant, knowing that you win some and you'll lose some, just like going to the nursery and buying some plants for your backyard. Some of them just seem to grow like crazy. Some of them just don't seem to like you or your backyard. So managing expectations there is quite important as well. And really the most important thing is if there's anything that you're unsure of, if anything doesn't seem right, then you just come down and see us at Majestic Aquariums with a sample of water and a little video of the tank running. And we can sort of assess what's going on. Doing water changes with RO water is the best. So you would want it at least monthly. Just do a water change. So take some water out, replace the water again. Be mindful of the temperature of the water. We don't want to go chucking in cold water. It's better to have maybe the water in some drums or something and have it in a temperate position before you do a water change. And then when you do the water change, just keep an eye on the thermometer because we don't want it dropping more than a degree or two when you do the change. And you'll sort of wing that. So maybe do some small changes before you go doing big ones. And if in doubt, just contact us at Majestic Aquariums and we can guide you through it. Put a little note on the bottom of this video if you got any questions on this particular subject. Also, the glass will need cleaning at least once a week. So I've got a little magnet there that can give the glass a little bit of a clean. But once again, surface agitation is everything.